Leave. I am gonna be live in just a few moments. Alrighty then. Hello everyone. Alright, so thank you for joining me back here for another live Q&A. I'll try to be less grumpy this time and treat all of your questions with fairness and whatever you guys want, okay? So just remember, if I look grumpy, I'm not. I'm actually having a very good day, and I'm enjoying my work here at the Dice Tower. I do have to read the screen, though, so sometimes my face looks like this when I'm reading. And if that's the case, I'm not grumpy. It just looks like I am. All right, so here we go. Let's see here. Go all the way up to the top. All right. Hi, Sam. After having started painting my minis, I want to store them properly. Good. You should. Any chance there might be videos on how to make game inserts? I don't have any videos on how to make game inserts. However, if I know there are probably some out there, I have not specifically watched them. But if you contact Robert Searing, he's a guy that does some of the Dice Tower website stuff for the Dice Tower. He actually has his own business, and he's a very nice person, very nice guy. He'd probably be willing to help you that route. So contact Robert Searing. Maybe he has more information there. Could you please suggest some games that can be used for simulation of pricing strategies? No, I'm sorry, I cannot, because that is not a genre of games that I really enjoy. So usually those kinds of economic type games where, especially if they're more academic, I usually shy away from them. I rarely even play them, so I apologize. No, I cannot. I've asked this before, but not sure if it is repetitive, so this is the last time. Do you think there is 10 games with a mech feeling, not just pasted theme? Keep the good work, man. Thank you. Well, with a mech feeling, not one that pops to mind readily. I played Battletech, the CCG, back in college, but that doesn't really give you a mech feeling. It's more of a strategic, how well did you build your deck kind of game. So that might be one of the ones that is lacking right now. So I would imagine, I think if I remember correctly, Tom was taking a look at a mech-ish game. So you might want to ask him that on the next live Q&A. His next live Q&A. Let's see. When are you going to do a review of Toledo? That actually might come up here in the next few weeks, because that is one of the games that I have been able to get my hands on, but I haven't played it in a while, so I would need a little bit more of a refresher. So I'll put it on my game list to play for the next couple of weeks, and then maybe after that. We'll see. Now that you and Z are working at the Dice Tower, will we see weekly or at least more frequent Q&As from you two? Well, if the last 2 weeks have been any indication, I would imagine probably so. I don't mind doing them. Usually I like to think a little bit longer about answers, but so my answers might be a little bit curt and short and maybe too much off the cuff, but hey, I'll give it my best shot, so I'll do whatever Bossman says. Opening a game store. The Smoking DM says, I'm opening a game store in a few months with my brother and a friend of ours. Anything asides clean bathrooms can you suggest to make it as appealing as possible? Lighting is a huge thing. You don't want to look like a cave where it's dark and you know, if you fall behind on cleaning every once in a while, it gets dingy. So I would say lighting. Windows, lots of windows. If you can keep your front windows clean, I don't know what kind of storefront you're going to have, but a lot of light, a lot of natural light would be good. A lot of inside light, so that it's a bright inviting place rather than a troll cave. So that would be my other thing. And gameplay areas, places where people can sit down and play the games that they just bought, or bring in some games and start working with your local game people, the people that run your gaming groups and that type of thing, and start scheduling times to get those people in there. Okay, just reset on me. My apologies. Let's see here. I did see one as I'm scrolling back up. What makes Sam go to a store? More often than not, it is necessity. I don't necessarily enjoy shopping, so I usually won't go shopping unless I am looking for something specific. And even then, I will go to the place that I think I have the greatest chance of finding it. If I don't find it there, I'll go to the second place, and so forth and so on. So usually necessity is what makes me go to a store to go shopping. Let's see. Let me get back up to where we are here. There we are. I have not played Fuse. Real-time games in general, it depends, because I usually don't like to have a short time limit on the things that I'm doing. And timed games can be difficult in a number of different ways, because you can have a timed an amount of time for something, and some people will be able to do their stuff much faster than somebody else. And so while that person is stressing out on trying to get what they need to get done, the other person who has been done for the last however amount of time is now bored, waiting on everybody else to finish their thing. So I really don't like real-time games that much. I'm sure there have been some caveats here and there, but on a general level, I usually don't like them. Jorge says, why do you not like Flick 'em Up? I do like Flick 'em Up. I enjoy it a lot, actually. I usually don't enjoy dexterity games. There are very few dexterity games that I like, but Flick 'em Up is one of them. Carabande or Pitch Car is another one that I really enjoy. So it's not that I dislike Flick 'em Up. That genre of games is kind of outside of my radar. Which is better, Cossacks or Hessians? Know any games featuring either of them? To answer the second question, no. And to answer the first, I don't know that I would make a delineation there. So, sorry. Is Combat Commander as complex of a war game that you will play, or have you played deeper or more chit style war games where you have little cardboard chits? Presently speaking, Combat Commander is probably as far down that rabbit hole as I'm willing to go. I have played Advanced Squad Leader starter kits in the past. When Joe Stedman and I were living in close proximity to one another in Korea, we played those kinds of games a lot because they were very high on his list. Not so much on mine. I'm not as good reading through long rule books as I probably want to be, and that's really a detriment when you're playing those kinds of games, because their rule books are very long and very in depth. So without having a Joe Stedman kind of person around that is willing to learn those kinds of games and then teach me how to play, they've kind of fallen off my radar. Let's see. Hi, Ming Ming. That's a cool little die. Thanks. Let's see. Kickstarter stretch goal for TI3, is it going to include the expansions during the live play, and with how many players? We're probably going to have, I think Tom mentioned, anywhere from 4 to 6 players, and I don't know what expansions we will or will not use. We'll talk about that later on. But we're probably going to be going for 4 to 6, probably either 5 or 6, not 4. 4 is a little low. What awesome game did Tom remove from his collection to put Voyages of Marco Polo in? I have no idea. He makes that decision, and usually he makes that while we are not here. Although every once in a while he'll talk about what games got thrown out, but I don't recall which one was replaced by Voyages of Marco Polo. Let Z know that Merchants and Marauders would be another sandboxy game. Merchants and Marauders. Okay. You're on an island by yourself. What type of pie would you least like to have to eat?
It's a very convoluted question.
Oh, man, it is.
What time of day is it?
Let's see. What type of pie would you least like to have to eat?
Depends on the climate of the island.
No, it doesn't.
It does to me, man.
Well, okay. Well, that's you. I would say, a mud pie, maybe. That's not really a pie, I know. Man, you have seen me, right? Because I like eating, so that's a hard question. I would imagine, out of the ones that frequent, I don't get key lime pie. I don't get the draw that key lime pie has. Usually it's very hit and miss for me. Some of them are not bad tasting, but other ones are just too sour and not very pleasurable in my opinion. So probably, I guess, key lime pie would be the best. But as soon as we turn off the stream, I'll probably think of one that's much, much worse than key lime pie. So there you have it. Let's see. Which are the best worker placement games for beginners in that genre? Wow, worker placement games. Well, my whole family can play Stone Age really easily. And that's saying a lot because I have a lot of different kinds of personalities in my house. So Stone Age is probably one I would push them to. It's more of a dice placement game, but it still has that worker placement feel. Kingsburg would be one that I would probably pull you towards as a beginning gamer, maybe. Yeah, I would try one of those two, probably, on the offset. What's the most boring game Z has taught you?
Kobayakawa.
Yeah, Kobayakawa. I nicknamed that Go Buy a Kawasaki because I had time during the game to think up that alternate name. So that was definitely a little card game that's based loosely on poker, I guess,
yeah,
where you're trying to get the best hand, but then, I don't know, it's just a lot of stupid stuff. But that would probably be a Kobayakawa. Go Buy a Kawasaki. You obviously like Viking-themed games, but do you like other things about Vikings, for example, history and culture and such? Well, I don't know much about their actual real culture, but I am very intrigued about their history, and that's part of the reason why I like Viking-themed games, is because of the historical content that I have been able to watch. So, yes, I guess would be the correct answer to your question. Good afternoon, Snell Fetcher. That's an interesting name. My question is, what do you do about players who don't pay attention during the game? Thanks in advance. I guess the question I would have back to you is, what do you mean by do? What do I do to them or about them, or I usually I try to be very graceful when I'm teaching a game, and if someone's just being very over the top rude about just not paying attention to what they're doing or anything, I'll I guess kindly, politely try to pull them back into the fold, but usually that will do the trick. I've never had to do much of anything for people like that. That's not a problem that we've run into a whole lot. Is TI3 the longest game you have ever played, or have you played games that run longer? TI3 is probably the longest. I played a game of 7 Ages that rivaled TI3, I think, but and I haven't played 7 Ages since. So yeah, I would say on a regular basis, yes, it's the longest game that I play. Do you have any thoughts about the pursuit of happiness? No, I do not. Could you please stop treating board games as a person? During the weekend review, you always say either this bad boy right here or this guy right here. I didn't know that was a problem. Maybe. But that's just kind of the way I talk, so I don't know, it'll take more than you think. How old are your kids, and how do you go about selecting games as a family? Well, usually I stick to theming for the most part about what games I want to play with my family and what games I don't want to play with my family. I do try to keep into thought the kind of game it is, what kind of mechanics are going to be used, and whether or not I think my kids will wrap their heads around it. My kids right now are 16, 15, and 12, and so they're all kind of pretty good age for being able to grasp almost anything. And I really don't like the heavier Euros that have a lot of the heavier thinking added onto it. So most of the games that I would bring home are games that I would think that they can pretty much grasp very well. And then there's a drop, and then my next one, my youngest one is 5. So there's definitely a difference between the games I'm able to play with him and the games I'm able to play with the other kids in my family. Just got Descent 2nd edition. Heard the first Shadowrun campaign is unbalanced and stale. I don't actually own Descent 2nd edition. Tom does, and so we pretty much play it when he desires. So I don't really have a answer for you there. Let's see, Sam, how do your experiences from being a teacher and working with kids in your youth group help with making reviews and working at the Dice Tower? I think the only way that really works is the only part that it really helps with is trying to figure out what I go over and what I don't go over. And it does make some of my reviews a little bit longer, because I tend to want to include more information than other reviewers currently in the room. But I guess that's the only thing. I guess I'm more interested in not just telling you about the game, but I want to teach you a little bit about the game too. But I am trying to curtail that as well, because I don't want to be that guy making 30-minute videos. So that's that. What other countries have I been to? I was almost born in Okinawa, which is an island off of Japan, because that's where my dad was stationed when my mother was about to deliver me, but she had complications and had to be flown back to the States to be delivered. So I've been to Japan, I've been to Korea, been to Hong Kong, been to Thailand, Germany, Belgium, France, Luxembourg, I have been to England, but it was only for a day, so I really don't count that. It was kind of an overnight type thing where my dad and I were flying back to America. And I think that's about it off the top of my head. Thank you, Family Showdown. Do I look grumpy now? Let's see. What are your thoughts from Undead expansion for Battlelore 2nd Edition? I don't know. We've not yet been able to play it, but it is definitely higher on the docket than other games are. Will you guys ever do a playthrough of Fury of Dracula if Tom permits? And who would play Dracula among you guys? We have played Fury of Dracula. It was not a live playthrough. And when we played Dracula, Tom was the bad guy, and we caught him. So maybe we'll have to pick somebody else who's a little bit better at it next time. Chris says, I never seem all that grumpy to him. Cool. What's your thoughts on a shared board game universe like Marvel Universe? 5 board games each have different mechanics. I guess I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, Star Wars is very close to that. You have a lot of different games that use a lot of different mechanics, but it's the same subject matter, so I'd be okay with it. Best pizza topping. I would probably say I like Canadian bacon a lot. That would be it. And I'm also one of the people that don't have a problem with Hawaiian style pizzas, where it's Canadian bacon and pineapples. I actually like that. I like how the sweet and the acidic go together well. So that's that. What do you think of automobiles? Could it be a hit? Automobiles, is that the one from AEG? Is that the one? I think. I don't know if it'll be a hit. I enjoyed it. I think it was a decent game, but I don't think it's going to be a huge hit. But it is a good enough game. Do you or did you ever watch professional wrestling? Do I have a favorite wrestler? When I was, I used to, when I was in high school and middle school. Middle school and high school were the years that I watched the most professional wrestling that I ever watched. And I actually got to go see some professional wrestling. My grandfather took me to see it when I was visiting in Tampa, Florida one year. And we got to see Arn Anderson against Dusty Rhodes in a steel cage match, and that was probably one of the highlights from that era of my life, and it was really fun to watch. I don't watch it very much anymore. It's just kind of just not something that I enjoy watching anymore, but a lot of cool memories from that one time though. Let's see here. Joe Campbell says, hi Sam, where did you learn to paint minis? Lately I've been using guides for specific models, but if you know of any great resources for general painting tips, that would be great. Well, you probably have already, maybe you've already seen my videos and Rob Warren's videos. Those are all, the production value is a little low, admittedly. Sorastro on YouTube, he does very, very good videos on how to paint, but usually the ones that I've watched were specific on one specific game. So it's really up to you. You got to find the style that fits you the best. You just can't adopt somebody else's style because it'll just get frustrating, especially if you're just not as good at it as they are, and you'll just get frustrated and you'll probably be tempted to quit, and that's never a good thing. So I would watch as many different people's videos as possible so that you can kind of pick and choose, hunt and peck what styles that they use fit well with you. If you, Tom, and Z were animals, what would you be? I would be a bear. I think Z would be a... Tom would be a giraffe. He's so tall. Z would probably be like a wombat or something like that. I just picture him as being very feisty but controlled. But so that's just off the top of my head. In between Stone Age and Wasabi in your reviews is a game called Oregon. What is that game? Is it an Oregon Trail board game? Kind of, sort of. It's a game about settling the state of Oregon rather than traveling there, and it's got a couple of cool mechanics in it. That's actually been one of the ones that I'm circling on reviewing here in the next month or so. So that's something for you to keep looking at. But it is a neat little game. Do you think you can throw a football better and farther than either Tom or Z? I don't know. I was not very good at taking care of my throwing arm when I was in high school and a younger kid, and it gives me a lot of pain when I throw it. I do have pretty good accuracy as far as short throws and stuff like that, but long throws, they just become Hail Marys. If you were going to a game night right now, what games would you bring? I would bring Fire and Axe, a Viking Saga, Zombicide Black Plague, and Pirates Cove. Because those are the ones I packed to take to our game night tonight. So there you have it. Are you coming to LA again anytime soon? We have the biggest Korea town outside of Korea, so I can give some recommendations. I've only been to LA once, and that was driving through after I left the San Francisco Bay Area. So I've actually never been to LA. I've just drove through, and even then we kind of stayed on the outskirts so we didn't get into any of the downtown traffic. So I've never been to LA, but Koreatown sounds like a cool place to go. Let's see. What is the biggest adjustment from being a longtime friend of Tom to being his employee? There really hasn't been an adjustment on my end. It's just you have to know how to act with those different hats on, and I've had a lot of different opportunities to have different kinds of relationships with a lot of the same people, and so you have to be able to know what hat to wear and when to wear it and that type of thing. So it's been seamless as far as I can tell. Maybe he would have a different answer. No, I am not a David Bowie fan, but I am. I understand. I know why you asked that. I know he passed away, but I was never really a fan of his music. So there you have it. I don't even know what that means, so I'm not going to ask it. I don't get that, but anyway. How far do I live from Tom? About, as the crow flies, probably about 5 minutes, maybe. But with traffic and everything, 10 to 15 minutes, depends. I have a 7-year-old son who just played Memoir 44 for the first time, and he loves it. Super! Is Battle Cry just as good at conveying a sense of history only with the Civil War time period? Yes, with the caveat that there is a rather powerful card in Battle Cry that basically whoever gets it gets to move everybody on their side of the board. And that's a little unbalancing as far as I'm concerned. I don't mind it, especially if you know that it's there. But if you don't know it's there, that could be kind of unsettling when one person plays it and says, oh, my entire army gets to move. What are you going to do? I'm going to move this one dude over here. So I would just say that. But as far as the scenarios and the different things that they have in the game, yeah, it does have a very same feel with Civil War period type stuff. Matte finish or gloss finish on your miniatures? Definitely between the two, matte. I don't like a shiny appearance on miniatures, so there you go. Are you looking forward to learning Robinson Crusoe? You know, I know it was a stretch goal, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying. I'm not holding my breath, because this has been going on for a long time now, and it still hasn't happened. So, if it happens, it happens. And yes, I am looking forward to it, but I'm not holding my breath. Is there any small card game other than Fairy Tale you really enjoy? Yes, Star Realms from White Wizard Games. I really enjoy Star Realms, and that is a very small card game, 2-player card game. There's also yeah, I guess No Thanks would be considered a card game. So that would be another one that I really do enjoy as well. Can you name a similar game to Twilight Imperium or Rune Wars? Well, a lot of people would say Eclipse. I would not. What's the other one, Tom, that came out at the same time as Eclipse? Exodus Proxima Centauri. Exodus Proxima Centauri is another one that's very similar to that, but probably about half the time required to play. Do you know of any possible future stretch goals for the Kickstarter? There are a number of them in the latest update on the Kickstarter. So go check out the latest update. I think there's 3 new ones that just got put up there today. But because our page on Kickstarter, the level of things that are in it has reached its limit, we can't edit it anymore at this point. So maybe Tom will be able to fix it later on. But right now, additional stretch goals are being put into updates. So go check those out. What makes Raptor your favorite 2-player game? Oh man, I didn't read those. Hate it when it does that. Let's see here. Got to get back to it. I read half the sentence and then it popped on me, so sorry. Let's see. Where are you? Where are you? Very sorry. This is not cool. I was really far behind, I guess. I saw something. There we go. Okay, here we go. What makes Raptor your favorite 2-player game over, say, Lost Cities and Seven Wonders Duel? Probably, well, I just don't like Lost Cities as a game, period. So I enjoyed it when it first came out, but I've since moved on. Never really enjoyed it nearly as much as other people did. So that's why I like it better than Lost Cities. As far as Seven Wonders Duel, I guess the ease of play is why I like it better than Seven Wonders Duel. Not to say the Seven Wonders Duel is difficult, but it's a little bit more complex than Raptor is, and so that's probably why I like it better than Seven Wonders Duel. But I like Seven Wonders Duel a lot. Given your interaction with your youth group, what are some differences between gaming with kids and gaming with adults? Strangely enough, well, not really strangely enough, but you probably would imagine that kids, especially when they get in a group with one another, they are much more likely to run off on tangents, and they have less focusability, less focus on the game at hand. And so teaching a game to teenagers is problematic in that sense. But at the same time, adults can be just as bad. but usually they aren't. Because they're just usually they're there and they want to learn how to play the game, so they're a little bit more focused. So that would be one of the main differences between it. Is teaching games to teenagers is much more difficult and stressful, and teaching them to an adult. Are you going to England with Tom this year? Yes. If you do, make sure you and Z's not going. He's going to SnootyCon instead. And get a photo beside a Belisha beacon next to a zebra crossing. If you can't find it, just ask the lollipop lady. I'm sure that has a whole lot of hidden meaning in it that I am not privy to, not even close. So there's probably a lot of English speaking. I am an English speaking person. There's a lot of people from England who are laughing at me right now because I have no idea what I just said. And that's fine. I'm good with that. But I'll put that through a translator later. Any chance on a Twilight Imperium 3rd edition review? Yes, maybe. Possibly. In the future. Let's see. Any updates on the Dice Tower cruise? Tom, you want to weigh in on that one?
I have their email. They should be getting an email this week.
If you have sent Tom your email concerning the Dice Tower cruise and that you're interested in going, you should be getting one here pretty soon.
That's actually what I'm working on now.
He's working on it right now as we speak. So yes, there is, but people who have sent emails asking for to be included are going to get that information first. So if you're interested in going, send them an email. Are we going to see you in Europe at Essen this year? I went last year and was bummed out not to be able to meet you in person. Well, I was bummed out not to be there as well. But, yes, this year I'll be able to be at Essen with the rest of the game.
Maybe.
Oh, Tom just said maybe. So, there we have it. If you three were the Groucho Marx brothers, who would be who? I guess I would be... Groucho then, right?
Definitely he would be Zippo.
Z would be Zippo. And I guess, what is Tom left with then?
Wow. That was the only two I know.
Yeah, those are the only two I know too.
I don't think you biggie. We know from this place.
Mino from this place. What? What are you speaking over there? Anyway, there you have it. Do you follow and support any sports teams? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, my favorite college team just won the National Football Championship, NCAA Championship last year.
Tide.
Roll Tide, roll. Thank you very much. My other sports teams are, as far as soccer is concerned, I like the Premier League the best. And my favorite team in the Premier League is Manchester United. Football, American football at least, my favorite team is the Bears, Chicago Bears. And yes, they are doing horribly bad right now, but there's always next year, right? Baseball, I like the Cubs. Again, there's always next year. Hockey is my favorite sport, and my favorite team is the Chicago Blackhawks, and there's always next year with them as well to win another championship, baby. And my least favorite sport is team sport at least, is basketball, but my favorite team there is the Bulls. So I'm a Chicago-centered person as far as sports teams are concerned. What are some games in which your wife consistently beats you? Carcassonne is one. Rumi Cube is another one. I actually caught her not beating me on purpose. She actually won the game like 3 turns before, and we kept playing because she felt bad for me. So there's that. Let's see. As far as the dice table is concerned, Matthew Clark, we are we're always wanting to have more ideas, more topics that you guys are interested in for the Dice Steeple. So there was a thread just started on our guild on Board Game Geek, where a person has offered up an idea. So if you have any ideas, you have some things that you'd like to hear us talk about, please go there. But nothing new. We're just going to keep plugging on and keep producing it. Are games still fun for you? Yes. I'm hoping you can still have a blast since it's work now. It is work, but that doesn't change the enjoyment factor. Sometimes it can feel more like work, but that doesn't mean I enjoy it any less. Do I like Mystery of the Abbey? I haven't played it in a very long time, and honestly, I can't remember the last time I did play it. So I remember enjoying it, but I don't remember a lot about the enjoyment. So there's that. Who is going to join you at the TI3 game? We have not hammered that out yet.
Not coming.
Tom says he knows who's not coming, so there is that list. Let's see. Somebody actually needs to make a dice steeple. Interesting. That would be cool to see. So there we go. Because of my finger size, you take issue with many dexterity games. That is true. Have you ever played Brazilian button soccer, which uses a plastic flipper rather than flicking with your fingers? No. I probably would be worse at that than using my fingers, because you would have to gauge the tension and all that kind of stuff with the plastic little flipper thingy. So no, I have not tried it. I would try it, but I have not yet. We have not yet played the new expansion for Exodus Proxima Centauri, so Daniel, I don't know what to think of it yet. The things that I've heard about it, I like, but we've not yet played it. What is your biggest hobby outside of gaming and painting minis? I don't know. Well, I guess is running kids and going to watch your kids play in sports games a hobby? That would probably be the next biggest thing that took up the most of my time. So that's that. What good miniature games are good for beginners to get into? I guess you would have to delineate what you consider a miniatures game. If it's just a game that has miniatures, there's a lot of them out there now that any number of them would be good to get into. As far as beginners are concerned, though, if you're talking about like a tabletop kind of 2-player combat simulation, I said it before in my review of it and in our live play, I think Age of Sigmar is a really good basic version of a tabletop miniatures game. They've really stripped a lot of the rules out of it. I mean, the rules is basically just a little pamphlet, really. It's a very streamlined system, so a lot of the people who have been into tabletop wargaming don't like that about it, but I think for beginners it's right there. I know there's a lot of other companies that are out there, but with my personal experience, that I would say that would be a good one to get into. And they're also coming out with a lot of more board game style miniature games. So there's that. Let's see here. Got about 10 minutes left, so let's see. Do you recommend Zombicide Black Plague over Last Night on Earth? Any expansions for Last Night on Earth you would consider must-buys? Well, the Last Night on Earth expansions, any of them that give you more heroes and more miniatures, those are the ones I would go for first. they also give you more scenarios as well. So any of those kinds of expansions for Last Night on Earth, I don't know them on the top of my, I don't know them by name on the top of my head. So I guess, I'm sorry, but just do a little bit of your own research with that information that I gave you. As far as, do I recommend Zombicide Black Plague over Last Night on Earth? Well, I just posted today, 45 minutes ago, a new top 5 zombie games list. So go check that video out when we're done here. Have you ever had a gaming night ruined by people arguing or sore losers walking out during the game? Yes, on both counts. And I don't remember specifically, but I may have been one of those people at least one occasion. Regrettably so. What's the latest game you enjoy playing with your family? Wow.
Black Plague.
Yeah, I did play Black Plague. That's the most recent one that I played with my family. And they all really enjoyed it, and they've been asking to play it ever since. So that's probably currently the one that is the most fun. But we've also played Spectre Ops lately, and they all enjoyed that a lot too. As a Star Wars fan, you have any thoughts why Harrison Ford never liked playing Han Solo? Because of this, your issue with Force Awakens was not a surprise for me. I was upset that I was correct. Well, I guess spoilers. Yeah. I guess I should read ahead.
You should probably read ahead.
You shouldn't have asked that question, Lewis. Moving on. Text me later, Lewis. I'll tell you.
This guy, man, ruining the internet.
I did. I'm sorry. I apologize. On Miami Dice, who is the pretty dice with hearts? You or Tom? Well, it's not a pretty dice with hearts. Those are actually descent dice, and those are wound markers. So that's how many wounds you cause if you roll that face. And then the lightning bolts are surge things. So, but if you must call it the pretty dice with hearts, it's Tom. How long have you been painting minis? When you got started painting, how did your first minis turn out? Not very good, but better than Tom's. And I've been painting for probably just a little bit over, oh goodness, maybe a little bit over 12, 13 years, something like that. But it's been off and on. It hasn't been a solid 12, 13 years. So I just now started to get back into painting, and happily, a lot of that has stayed with me. Almost just like riding a bike. What is your opinion on Dead of Winter, and are you excited for the expansion? I love Dead of Winter. It is one of my favorite games of all time, and yes, I am. If space and money were not an issue, how many games would you have or want to have in your collection? Right now, honestly, I am working on diminishing the number of games in my collection. Space is an issue. If it were not an issue, I cannot fathom having more than 500 games in my collection, because I would constantly be looking at all of those games and thinking I never play 90% of these things, or even 75% of the games I don't. It's just that would just be stressful. How soon do you think the TI3 playthrough will be after the Kickstarter? I don't know. That's up to Tom when he wants to schedule it. So I have no clue. Would you recommend Raiders of the North Sea as a good worker placement gateway game? Yeah, actually, that's not a bad choice. I really do enjoy it, and it has a very simple worker placement mechanic on it, and somewhat innovative as well. So, yeah, I think that would be a good suggestion. Did Tom specifically order T-shirts with large Dice Tower logos so that he will appear more slim? Probably not. That's just the way they came out.
How does that make you look more slim?
I have no idea. Where am I from Texas? I am from the great state of Texas, deep in the heart of San Antonio. That is my hometown. I was born in Wilford Hall, which is on a Kelly Air Force Base in San Antonio. And that's where I grew up. How do you deal with people talking over you, not focusing during a rules explanation, as in fix the problem? I usually will stop talking and allow them to get the point on their own. What's your thoughts on Games Workshop bringing back Blood Bowl? I think it's a cool thing. I've been saying it here for a while, for a few weeks at least, a couple months rather. And I think there's a lot of good changes happening at Games Workshop. And of course, I don't have any type of insider information or anything like that. It's just that I think they're making some changes to their to how they work with people, and I think that's a really cool thing. Did you like TI3 the first time you played it? If so, did you know you would like it within the first 2 hours or after the game finished? I liked it when I saw the box. Then when we actually started playing it, I knew it was going to be one of my favorite games, just because I really enjoy that epic space opera type feel that it offers. So there you go. What is the most memorable board or card game based cosplay costume you've ever seen? I usually try to avoid them because I'm afraid of what I might see. So I can't really tell you there. How willing are you to try prototype games that someone is developing? Well, it's I'm not a I like a lot of the games that I like. Let me put it this way, are based around a lot of Chrome, and I'm not saying that it has to be flashy and it has to do this and all that to be a game that I'm going to like, but that helps me see the game for what it is a little bit better. If you come up to me with a bunch of cards and a bunch of little cardboard pieces that are supposed to represent other things that will possibly be in the finished product, I'm going to probably be less excited about the game unless I really enjoy myself. So to answer your question, I am probably less willing than most, but more willing than some. Let's see. Where did the term throat punch come from? Do you recall the first time you used it? The first time I think I used it was after I saw a meme that somebody had created of a gorilla sitting there like this. And on the top it said rock, paper, scissors, and then on the bottom it said throat punch. So I liked that meme. It was pretty funny looking. You mentioned that you try to act graceful when teaching a game. How does this gracefulness manifest itself? Usually by not killing someone. But seriously though, it simply means by, not yelling at people, not trying to go overboard, that type of thing, so forth. All right, only got about a minute left here, so let me look for one last question. If you combined the last 2 games you played together into one super game, would it be a good game to play? Now I'm trying to think of the last 2 games I played. I think the last 2 games I played were the last 2 games we played on the. What were the last 2 games we played on the? Yeah, it was the Tumbling Dice was one. What was the one right before that?
Giraffometer.
Giraffe. So if we combine Giraffeometer and Tumbling Dice, it probably wouldn't be a very good game to play.
How about the last 2 real games you played? That would be bigger. Would be a Coliseum.
Okay, Coliseum and Blood Rage. Now that, my friends, would be a game and a half. Coliseum and Blood Rage. Wow. Yeah, I think that would be a good game to play. If you took all of those different mechanics and smushed them together, and the 2 themes and smushed them together, yeah, that would be a game I'd want to go buy. So that's that. Thanks everybody for joining in. I appreciate the time you've taken to ask me questions and then listen through the painful responses in some cases probably. So thanks for joining in, and we'll see you next time. I don't know when we're going to do this next, but it's probably going to be soon enough. So see you on the flip side, folks. And now we have to, I'm not going to sing as Z did. I'm going to actually just push the button as I talk in a